What's up, everybody? Hope you guys are doing well today. Here for another video. So a few weeks ago when I did a review of Sinners, I said that Sinners is probably my favorite vampire movie ever. And I realized I've never actually sat down and thought about that and really worked out what my favorite vampire movies are. So that's what we're going to do today. Now I'm going to rank my 10 favorite vampire movies ever. Let's go. What's up, guys? Thanks for joining me today. First of all, if you're new here or if you haven't done it yet and you're just watching these videos and haven't done it yet, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, turn notification bells, and let's get going, because that way you can get access to all of my content as soon as it comes out. So vampires they're like the staple when it comes to the horror genre. We all love vampire movies. So I needed to sit there and think about what my favorite 10 were to watch. And it took a little bit of time here, but here I'm about to do it for you. My top 10 favorite vampire movies of all time. Coming in number 10, I'm going to go with a Danielle Harris starred movie, Stakeland. What was cool about Stakeland is before the movie came out, I have never seen a post-apocalyptic version of vampires. These vampires felt more like zombies in the way there was nothing left. They were just tearing through towns. The same story you would see in a zombie movie, but these were vampires, and they were vicious. One of the things that I have a problem with is, even though I love vampire movies, they're not very scary. There really haven't been too many that have made vampires scary. This one was, and it was also unique. I love when movies take a risk, and this one took a risk by showing vampires in a different light, and I think it worked out perfectly. So number 10 for me is Stakeland. Coming in at number 9, I'm going to go with a rare one that a lot of people probably haven't seen. I'm going to go with Shadow of the Vampire. Willem Dafoe plays Count Orlok, who is essentially recreating Nosferatu. Back in the day, when Nosferatu first came out, they did really feel that Max Schreck was a vampire because he only came to set in full costume. So they kind of played on that with Willem Dafoe playing an actual vampire, playing the role of Count Orlok in this movie. And of course, there's hilarity involved, but what happens is a real vampire being around people, you see what happens in it. And this is, I love, like I said before, I love unique takes. I love taking risks and taking chances. And of course, Willem Dafoe was absolutely amazing, which I think is pretty unique that he was able to play in the Nosferatu remake when he played Count Orlok in this movie. But my number 9, Shadow of the Vampire. And number 8, I'm going to go with Fright Night, the remake. Really, both of them are really good, but I prefer, if I'm going to want to sit down to watch one, more often than not, I will choose a remake over the original. Just more modern, a little bit more faster paced, and I really enjoyed it. I love the theme. I love the vampires that slowly take over. That's one of my favorite portions of the vampire lore, where you have a master vampire that turns these people, one by one, and then you have this plague on your hands. And it was a very, very well crafted movie, lots of action, and I think Colin Farrell did an amazing job playing the head vampire in this one. So for me, for number 8 is Fright Night. At number 7, I'm gonna go with The Lost Boys. This is one of the first vampire movies I saw as a kid. And this, again, in the same line as Fright Night, I do love the idea of a master that is turning the town against everybody. And I love the fact that kids were the ones to take down the master in this. I love the twist that the main person that the woman had gotten close to ended up being the head vampire. One of my favorite things about this movie is that they used a lot of different parts of the vampire lore in this one. I love to have to be invited in. I love they touched on the holy water. They touched on a lot of the vampire lore in this one. So for me, my number 7, Lost Boys. Coming in number 6, I'm going to go with Sinners. Now, I know I said before, being my favorite vampire movie of all time. I had to think about it. And it's hard for me to say that when I've only watched it one time. It was very, very good. It was very good, very good. And I'm looking forward to seeing it again. But when I think of my favorites, these are movies that I can watch and have watched over and over and over again. And I'm not sure that I have the same rewatchability with Sinners that I have with the ones I mentioned and will mention. So for you, coming in at number 6 will be Sinners. I've already said all that I need to say about this movie. The music was great, but the important thing was the vampires. I loved the vampires in this one. I loved the head vampire in this one. Very charismatic, which is one of the key traits you need for a vampire, dating back to the history of all the vampires. Have all had an air and a bit of charisma to them, and you add the music with it too. It was just great. So for me, number 6, Sinners. At number 5, for me, I'm going to go with Underworld, Rise of the Lycans. Listen, there's only one reason that this movie gets as high as it does and gets me to rewatch it as much as it does, and that is Bill Nighy playing Victor. When you think of a vampire, there's not many that play the role better than Victor. Just from his look to his presence to the way that he talks, he just has this arrogant, I'm better than you vibe, and he's vicious.
Assistance. We have all seen the fires on the way here and have learned of the deaths of Baron Kvasha and his family. The wolves are at your door as well. So why should I pay tribute when you cannot so much as protect your own house? You have all but bled me dry already. We have all heard the stories. Look into his eyes! They are true! This place is cursed! They are no more human than the devils that invade our lands!
If devils you call us, rest assured, better the devil you know.
Unhand me!
Certainly.
Absolutely vicious. And he does does it all in the name of supporting his tribe, his race, his type of who he is, being a vampire. He rules with the iron fist. And when you think of a more government style of vampires, how it will be run, I can't think of a better leader of that than Victor. And I still stand by that this is the greatest romance movie ever made. Forget The Notebook, forget all these other things. If you see Underworld Rise of the Lycans, this should be in the top of everybody's romance movie to see. But then you've got, and it's a tale of oldest time, where you had the Lycans versus the vampires, and one of the Lycans falls in love with the vampire, and it just becomes a thing. But the aggressiveness and the disposition, the way Victor rules, is the main reason why this movie is so high for me. I can watch this movie day in and day out over and over again, and Victor is the main reason for that. So for me, number 5, Underworld Rise of the Lycans. All right, guys, so here we go. Coming in at number 4 for me is going to be Dracula, 1931, starring Bela Lugosi. Bela Lugosi set the blueprint for how to play Dracula. Point blank. Every single Dracula that's come after him has, in some way, shape, or form, been influenced and followed the lead of Bela Lugosi. He's the main reason. Now, obviously, it's 2025, so watching a movie in 1931 with all we've seen is not always the best. Not even something that someone's going to run to do. But of all this list, I may have seen this one the most, because when I'm bored, when I am in the mood for a vampire movie, I gravitate towards this one a lot. I just love Bela Lugosi's portrayal of it. And one thing that I really like, I talk about the different tropes of the vampire lore. Mind control is, they show this one a lot. They show this one very strongly in this movie. And I thought that was really cool, because that's not always used in the different vampire movies. But for me, my 4th favorite is the Dracula from 1931, starring Bela Lugosi. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to go with Nosferatu 2024. Roger Edgars filmed a beautiful, Absolutely beautiful, beautiful movie. Nosferatu was very aggressive. He was the movie's similar to Dracula, but whereas Dracula is more romanticized, there is nothing romantic about Count Orlok. Bill Skarsgård did a great job, and the makeup really helped him. The voice of Orlok was very powerful too. But I like the fact that whenever he was on screen, you could not be comfortable. Whereas in some, other versions of Dracula, you can almost be lulled into a sense of comfort by Dracula. There's nothing to be comforted by Count Orlok. I also loved that when you think of Dracula and you think of vampires, they are a plague. They multiply slowly but surely, and they take over the entirety of the world. But they are also decomposing corpses. They're undead living people. So I loved the look of Count Orlok and how they made his body decomposing, but I also loved how they focused on the plague version, the plague portion of the vampire. The fact that the rats and the bubonic plague was brought with Count Orlok. There's just so many good things to say about this movie. But for me, one of my favorite movies of the vampire lore is for number 3 for me, Nosferatu 2024, which leads me to my top 2. So the big question is, which order is it going to be? All right, guys, coming in at number 2, I'm going to go with Bram Stoker's Dracula. Why? Francis Ford Coppola allowed Gary Oldman to show every version of Dracula that was in the novel. The young version, the old version, the vampire bat version. Gary Oldman was able to tap in to so many different versions of the character, make them all work. And the filming, almost just like Nosferatu, was beautifully filmed. The set pieces were beautiful. I loved how they recreated Dracula's castle. It just is such a well done movie. Keanu Reeves was the only thing that kind of held this movie back a little bit. He was young. He doesn't really do accents well. But notwithstanding, everything else about this movie was really good. And again, I loved, one of my favorite scenes is Vampire Dracula, where they tried to attack him, and he was talking to them as a giant bat. It was absolutely amazing. My number 2 favorite vampire movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula, which leads me to my number 1. My number 1 favorite vampire movie, 30 Days of Night. Why? I talked about previously, vampires aren't often scary. This movie made them that way. This movie made them terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And all the lead up to when they actually arrived was so well done. The fact they took out all the communication, they burnt all the cell phones. They made it so that the townspeople had nothing to do. And they went to Alaska in a time where there are 30 days of night consistently. They were out for blood, and they were just so vicious, so violent. The head vampire, Marlowe, which his name was Marlowe, but we didn't know that until the second one. The second one, not so much, but he led a absolutely vicious group.
Katna tik tik. Tenda tik tik sol. At.
I left the theater terrified of vampires for the first time in my entire time watching vampire movies, just from this movie. So for me, my number one, 30 Days of Night. Now, I know there's some that weren't up on this list. From Dusk Till Dawn was on this list. Vampires was on this list. There are a few that I particularly, that doesn't mean they're not good. That doesn't mean they're not good. That just means that when I am sitting down to watch a vampire movie, they're not the first 10 that I go to. That's all that it is. But I want to know what your 10 are. What 10 or what are your favorites? What ones did I miss? What did you love that I might not even talk about at all? I want to know. And again, if you're new here, it's the Glad's Horror Channel, the best horror channel here on YouTube. If you haven't already, subscribe to the channel, like this video, hit the notification bell, and join us for next time. Thank you guys. See you guys next time.